I've got 10 genius hacks that will turn this cookie dough into all new desserts. Whether you use store-made or homemade cookie dough, you can do way more than just make simple decorative cookies. Just in time for the holidays, I'm about to blow your mind. Hack number 1, I'm turning cookie dough into dessert bars. Basically, you can take any bar recipe, your favorite, whether it be lemon bars or pumpkin bars, and use, instead of a shortbread crust, use a roll of cookie dough. This is gonna be a whole lot easier. I've done this before with lemon bars, and instead of the shortbread crust, use this. So it is a little bit sweeter than a shortbread crust. So just take a 9x13 baking dish, give it a little spray, and then just press your cookie dough along the bottom. And it can really be whatever flavor you want. Sugar cookie is just neutral, you know, it kind of goes with everything. These are just the kind of things that when this kind of thing goes on sale, pick some up and just keep them in your fridge. They're guaranteed to come in handy when you're in a pinch. This goes into the oven 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then while that happens, you just make the filling. For this, truthfully, you can just get whatever pecan pie recipe you love. We start out with some brown sugar. To that, add in a couple tablespoons of flour. This isn't really standard in a pecan pie recipe, but it's gonna help the bars like have a nice layer, like a thicker layer. And then a little bit of kosher salt. I always use kosher salt. I'm gonna go in with a couple eggs and with a teaspoon and a half of vanilla, a little bit of baking soda. Give that a stir and then go in with the melted butter. And then the pecans. Or pecans. I like to kind of have them finely chopped. Fold that in and then we'll spread this right over our crust. I love a dessert where you don't have to break out the mixer. Crust, that's 15 minutes later, and we're gonna pour the pecan filling over this while it's still warm. Spread it out and then it goes back into the oven at 350 degrees for about another 15 minutes. This smells so good and looks good. The easiest version of a pecan pie I've ever made. The hardest part, however, is that you have to let it cool completely, like at least an hour or 2. That's gonna be the hard part, but if you cut it too soon, you're gonna get messy squares and it won't be cute little bars. So it'll be worth the wait. The perfect little handheld dessert. I've totally forgotten that there's a sugar cookie involved in this whole thing. I need a cup of coffee with this one. It is the perfect little bite of pecan pie. That brown sugar has created just almost like a caramel sauce in the middle. And then the sugar has also risen to the top to make that nice little crust. And contrary to what you might think, having a sugar cookie crust instead of a shortbread crust, it's not overly sweet. We're off to a great start. And the next dessert is a little bit of a magic trick. Next up, we turn cookie dough into cobbler. That turns this into basically a 2-ingredient dessert. You know, when you do those dump cake cobblers, you just put the pie filling or whatever, and then you just put cake mix and butter. It's like the same idea here. All right, so I'm just gonna dump pie filling right in. I'm doing an apple cobbler. Whatever fruit you want, this would really be good with blueberries or peaches. Spread that on the bottom, and then we're gonna take the cookie dough and just kind of crumble it on top. I mean, I don't know why we haven't done this before. And there's butter in the cookie dough. And the amount you need is really based on the size casserole dish you're using. You just wanna like cover the top. It's gonna spread out a little bit, and I like, you know, some of the fruit to kind of peek through. Before I put it in the oven, I'm gonna give it like a homemade touch. Sprinkle it with a little cinnamon sugar. Now, into the oven, 350 degrees till it's browned and bubbly for about 30 to 35 minutes. Bubbly around the edges. You know, I gotta break out the ice cream for this one. And we have toasty edges, gooey inside. You got your cobbler, then you top it, let it do its thing. Let me just go in for that perfect bite. Never would have known that started with sugar cookie dough. Oh my gosh, that little cinnamon sugar that we put on top gets a little crusty too. This is better than I thought it was gonna be. Next time you're in a pinch, need a fast dessert, 2 ingredients is all you need. Breaking out the chocolate chip for this next one, we are turning cookie dough into pie crust. Smart. Now this is best for pies that are like no-bake pie situations. Pretty much any no-bake pie. I'm gonna do a chocolate chip cookie crust for a chocolate pie. Just a little bit of insurance. Even though typically when you're baking like cookie dough, you don't have to do a greased pan. Right, then you're just gonna take a roll and you're gonna form it around the pie plate. Just get it into an even, thin layer. This would also be really good as an ice cream pie. So just bake your crust, fill it with ice cream and keep it in the freezer. I think there's a lot you can do here. All right, into the oven, 350 degrees for about 18 minutes. One little trick you need to do when this comes out. See how it puffed up in the center? You can take another pie plate, or you can even do this with a measuring cup, but you want to kind of make the indentation into the pie to bring back its pie shape. Lightly kind of press it down. See? Back to being a pie. You could also do it with measuring spoons and just kind of press it back down and around the edges. All right, then you're gonna let this cool completely before you fill it. So while that happens, we'll quickly make the filling. Doesn't get any easier. Again, you can use whatever no-bake pie filling you want. This one is really just chocolate pudding because it's all about the concept, not necessarily the recipe. Just mix this up, let it sit for about 5 minutes to thicken. Crust is mostly cooled, then in goes our pudding mix. So this is one of those desserts that's like, it doesn't need to be fussy. This chills for at least an hour until everything is cold and completely set. Beautifully set. I've taken too many shortcuts already to break out homemade whipped cream at this point, but you do you. Cute, cute, cute. Take a little chocolate bar and shave it on the top. Nobody's not gonna be happy to eat this right here. Cookie dough turned pie. That crust reminds me of a cookie cake, and I'm all about that. The cookie is tender, lightly toasty around the edges, but then you get that soft cream in the middle. That was a good idea right there. Any clue to the next dessert? Fruit pizza. This might be one of the most iconic desserts of the 80s, AKA my childhood, and I'm here for it. Always the base of a fruit pizza is sugar cookie crust. You could make your own. I'm not, but you can really get creative. I'm going the classic way. So you just take some cookie dough, kind of like how we did the pie, little cooking spray, and then just like the pie plate, you're just gonna press the dough into a circle. You can lightly grease your hands with cooking spray to make this process a little bit easier. All right, and this just goes into the oven, 350 degrees until it's browned. Just take about like 10 to 15 minutes. Once it's completely cooled, then you can decorate. This is just a mixture of cream cheese with a little powdered sugar and some vanilla. You can also just do a store-bought cream cheese frosting if you want. And this is your pizza sauce. You just want it to be a thin layer. This is really just gonna act as your glue to hold all your fruit. What I love about this is you can customize it to whatever, holiday is nearby. I'm gonna keep it festive with a little red and green, some star fruit, because how cute is that? If it was 4th of July, you could easily do this red, white, and blue. It's cute and festive and full of perfect bites. No cheese pull, but it's worth it. I mean, when you get the juicy fruit with that cream cheese icing and the sugar cookie crust, lightly toasted. This is everything, and still one of my favorite desserts of all time. Love it. Breaking out the pre-portioned cookie dough for my next trick, turning cookie dough into dessert cups. Dessert cups are the perfect vessel for whatever you're craving. It can be creamy, it can be a fruit, it can be chocolate. Let me show you how easy these are. This is the perfect party appetizer. You go to places like Costco and they have, the little brownie bites or whatever. They're just average. They kind of taste a little stale. These at least will taste like freshly baked, and they can look more homemade because you can customize them to your occasion or whatever you're feeling. Mini muffin tin, lightly greased, and they're just the perfect size. There's 24 cups and 24 little bites. You kind of want these to be a little bit not straight from the fridge. Then just use your fingers to kind of form them into the same shape as the muffin tin. That's it. And per usual, into the oven, 350 degrees. All right, about 12 minutes later, you'll see that it's slightly browning around the edges and on the bottom. And it has kind of risen up in the center, but there's no problem there. You just take a little bit of a wooden spoon and then just create a little indentation. This is like therapeutic. It's just very satisfying. So form the indentions, and then we gotta let it cool per usual before we fill it up. For the filling, I'm doing the no-bake cheesecake filling. All right, after these have cooled, you can just kind of loosen them up. Cute little pie shell. Perfect for whatever you want it to be. Got that cheesecake filling in a bag. I'm just gonna snip off the end and use that as a piping bag. Doesn't have to be perfect. You'll see why. I've done these before where you just top it with like a single little berry, and that's really cute. So I'm just gonna do a simple blueberry filling straight from the can. Oh my God, those are so cute. Little mini blueberry 3-ingredient cheesecakes. You can also do these cups with chocolate chip cookie dough You can do chocolate chip cheesecake, but you could also put a little scoop of ice cream in it. And they make the best presentation, and no one really cares that it started with a store-bought pack of cookie dough. I promise. Well, perfect bite desserts. Okay, I'll take a bite. That's so cute and so delicious. When you just want that one little sweet bite at the end of the meal, this is perfect. We're just knocking these out of the park. I've got a 2-for-1 special coming up next. I'm giving you number 6 and number 7 all in one. The kids will know what I'm doing. We are making cookie sticks and cookie dippers. They're made the same way, but they serve kind of 2 different purposes. And this will work with whatever cookie dough you want. I'm gonna start with the cookie sticks and sugar cookie dough. You just take your dough and you fold in like 3 to 4 tablespoons of flour. And we're gonna knead this together until it forms a dough. And you do this way when you roll the cookies out into the stick shape, that it won't spread so much. Because we're adding a little more flour to soak into that butter or oil. These are fun to do for like a good kid's treat. They also make good baked gifts because you could package these up really cute. You'll see how cute they're gonna look. All right, once that's all in there, we're gonna roll this out into a rectangle. You want it to be about 1/4 inch in thickness. Just try to get the edges as straight as you can. All right, so we're gonna cut this into sticks. Notice that I'm also doing it on parchment paper because this is how we're gonna transfer it to our baking pan. I'm keeping them kind of long. You could divide this into like shorter sticks and do 3 sets. I'm just gonna do 2 sets. I'm just gonna cut in half, and then I'm just gonna cut down to make these sticks. Just about 1 inch wide. And we're not gonna separate them yet. We'll just cut them again when they're warm, when they come out. And then into the oven for just about 12 to 15 minutes. I've gone ahead and done the same thing with the chocolate chip cookie dough, and these are gonna be our dippers. They have cooked back together, but we're gonna separate them again. So just take your knife while it's hot and cut it again. Now just cut it into sticks. This is a good time to break out that pizza cutter, and then let them cool completely. For the sugar cookie sticks, take your stick. I've got some melted just white chocolate, and you're gonna dip just like the top third in it and then decorate it according to whatever occasion you're celebrating. And then we have these festive little cookie sticks that look like something you would get from a bakery. This is a great baking activity with the kids because you know when they're like, Mom, I want to make something, and then you're like, all you can think about is the mess. But when you're really dealing with 2 ingredients, then you can be the cool mom that says yes. Then just let them cool completely, and that white chocolate will harden a little bit. See, after you let them cool, you could package this up in some little cellophane little bags, or this. Kids are gonna love them. They can decorate. You know, this is more fun and a lot easier than a gingerbread house. Now let's melt some chocolate. I've just got some dark chocolate chips here, and I'm pouring over some hot, heavy cream, and we're just making a simple ganache. Let it sit for a couple minutes and stir it up. You could also just use some store-bought white frosting. You could do caramel sauce, whatever you want here. Makes for a fun little party snack. You know that's not gonna be bad. Perfection. You could probably put some booze in that chocolate and make this an adult treat, but kids will go crazy over these. Number 6 and 7, have I convinced you to cut your cookie dough into sticks instead of round cookies? Yes. This next hack might quite possibly. This next hack might be the greatest one of the day. We are turning store-bought cookie dough into homemade cookies. So for this one, you're going to take the cookie dough, roll it into walnut-sized balls. And this is the part that is according to a recipe I found. So I'm just taking an existing recipe and adapting it for store-bought cookie dough. The recipe has you make the cookie dough and then do this, which is roll it into finely chopped pecans. We are making turtle cookies. And I'm telling you, this cookie is the one you need to bring to the cookie swap this year. Nobody will think it's not homemade, and everyone will be asking for the recipe. Trust me, because this is what I did one year. And I brought them to every Christmas party that I went to. Take a wooden spoon. You could also do this with your thumb or your finger, kind of like a thumbprint cookie, and just make a little well in the center. Because we're gonna bake this and then fill it with the essentials to make it a turtle situation. Roll them, coat them, put a well in them, and then bake them at 350 for 12 to 15 minutes. They have spread a little bit. Maybe our dough got a little warm. If that happens, you can just take something round like a small cup and do this. Get them back into their shape. And then you can still make sure your little divots in there. I'm gonna let them cool slightly and then I'll fill them with the caramel. I like this caramel dip because it's a little bit thicker. Just take a little bit, just about a teaspoon, and add it right to the middle. Your cookie will still be like slightly warm. Just don't want to do it like piping hot right when you pull it out or it'll just all melt everywhere. Turtle candies are chocolate, caramel, and pecan. So for the chocolate, I've just melted some chocolate. Then I like to kind of give them a little zigzag. Now, completely optional, but highly recommended. I'm going in with a little flaky salt. Just a tiny bit is all you need. Not one person will know or care that it started with store-bought cookie dough. How cute are those? You'll win the holidays this year, I promise. Oh my gosh. That's just what I remember. Sweet and salty, gooey, but then slightly crunchy thanks to like the toastiness around the cookie and the pecans. This is my kind of cookie right here. Soft in the middle, not overly sweet. Perfection. Did you know that you can turn cookie dough into muffins or cupcakes? Let me show you. Sugar cookie dough is perfect for this because it's kind of a neutral flavor. So you can turn it into whatever you want. And we're gonna turn this into pumpkin cupcakes or muffins. Take your dough and throw it in a bowl along with 1 can of pumpkin puree. This one's kind of like a magic trick. And then 3/4 cup of self-rising flour. Although you could do this with chocolate chip cookie dough and make chocolate chip muffins. Ooh, or pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. That would have been good. And then 2 eggs. And then blend it till it's smooth. It's just so neat how that pumpkin and the egg like make that cookie dough soft again. Spin this into a cupcake liner and then these go into the oven 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. These smell divine. Look how cute they are. So I'm gonna let them cool completely and I'm gonna top them. To me, when you top them, they become a cupcake, but at this point it's a muffin. So it can be whatever you want it to be. Store-bought frosting, because I'm not trying to impress anybody. And now the muffin becomes a cupcake, just like that. You could just drizzle it with frosting and then it's still a muffin. Ta-da! Let me show you the reveal. I don't know why I think this one's so like magical. I feel like it's not supposed to work. But it does. It's so moist and tender. It's not overly sweet. Therefore, it really is a muffin, even with the frosting. It's perfect. For my final trick, I'm turning cookie dough, this time chocolate chip cookie dough, into an ice cream cake. Because why not? We've done everything else with cookie dough. It's basically like a cookie cake, but layered with something in the middle. Ice cream. You could just do frosting in the middle or whatever you want to fill it with. This is a roll in each pan of cookie dough. And then these just go into the oven, 350 for about 20 minutes. Our cake layers are ready. Soft, golden brown. You don't want these to be too soft in the middle, but you definitely don't want them to be too crunchy because we want to be able to get slices out. So you want them to still be, tender, but not raw in the middle. And you'll see that they have like a little bit of a concave center. That's good because that's gonna hold the ice cream. Let it cool completely and then fill it with whatever ice cream your heart desires. I'm going butter pecan. I think it's gonna be perfect. Fill it and then freeze it solid. Filled and frozen. So good. Looks pretty perfect. You do not have to ice it at all. You could just decorate the top, kind of like the birthday cake experience, the cookie cake, or you can go all the way around with the frosting. I think chocolate does sound good. I can tell you one thing, this is a lot cheaper than buying from that company that has cookies. This will be a surprise. Usually you just see flat cookie cakes. You do kind of have to act quick. Ta-da! Just a few little sprinkles around the edge. I mean, this is a 3-ingredient cake also. We've done some magic today, guys. I mean, come on. That is a hearty piece of cake. This is what you call a shareable slice, which is exactly what I'm gonna have to do after 10 recipes of cookie dough. After 10 recipes, I can only handle about 1 bite, so I'm glad this is what we call a shareable slice. That'll take you back to your childhood. That is like an old-fashioned ice cream sandwich in the best way, like the cookie ice cream sandwiches that your mom used to make. And that is worthy of a celebration. What's also worthy of a celebration is now you have 10 new dessert hacks that all start with cookie dough. And if you have any cookie dough hacks that I've never heard of, please send them my way. Somebody better eat this before it melts.